Welcome you all to the third session of Pandas data frame. So whatever we have done in the second session, we will continue over that. So I suppose, first of all, what we need to do, we need to create one file by the name day3.ibyv file. So let's create the file. I have already created it. So you guys need to create this file from here. If you will click here, you will get the option to create the file. And then you have to write day3.ipynb file or whatever you want to write. It's up to you. So create it. And after creating this file, let's come to our main point and let's discuss. So far, we have seen multiple ways to build data frames by combining various data structures. But everything we have dealt with so far has taken a column-centric approach. We have built data frames column by column. We could, however, also take a row-centric approach to build data frames using a list of dictionaries. So this is my, I suppose, approach 4, APPROACH approach 4, which is a list of dictionaries. List of dicts, D-I-C-T-S, dicts. We will use this approach. So don't wait, let's replicate a single row and then we will scale it up to the rest of the data frame. So what I am going to do, I am going to first create a data frame of single row. And then we will scale it up and for the multiple rows. So first of all, let's import the two libraries. Import pandas as PD and import numpy as NP. Import numpy as NP. Run it. Now, create a data frame. So if I will write PD dot data frame, then inside this, what I have to write, since I am using the row-centric approach. So first of all, what I have written above, list of dictionaries. So I have to first create one list here. And inside this list, I am creating one dictionary. And same thing inside this dictionary, first I want to write name. So let's write name here. And let's write one name, Varun. First name was my Varun. So I have written the Varun here. Now, second thing was ages, AGES ages. And what was my ages? Let's write 20, comma. Then the third thing was married. So let's like married here. And then write false because married was false. If I will write these things here and let's create a data frame like this. Can you see the data frame has been created and this data frame is having only one row because these three key is acting as my column name and these three values inside, I have put these three values inside it, which is a value assigned to that particular column. So since I am assigning only one values, so it is showing me only one row. So this is one approach to use the row-centric approach to build a data frame. Now to do this efficiently for the rest of the data, because I have used only one data for every column. So one way to do is to likewise I will put other values here also, and I will create a data frame. That is a very simple way to create a data frame, but it's also a little bit a very tedious task to write all those things. That's why what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the zip method. we have already done this in Python sections. This zip method I have already covered. And those who do not know, you can go to the playlist of my basics Python playlist and you can watch from there. But for a quick recap, let me give you some that see all zip method does is it combines values from more than one iterable into a list of tuples. So let me write this thing here. What zip does? Zip method basically combines values 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 from more than one iterable into a list of tuples. List of tuples. Fine. Now let's use the zip method. If let's say here I have written these names, ages and married. Let me do one thing. If I will let's first copy these three variables from the previous session, because I'm going to use this thing. This thing. Let's copy this and let's paste it here. First thing is that let's paste it here and then let's run it. Fine. Because I am going to use these things here. Now, after that, what you need to do, if you use zip method for create, if I use zip, then inside this zip, if I use write these names, ages and married, and if I will put a list, if I will put all these things inside inside a list, and I will run it, let's see what I am getting. I am getting name, ages and married. I am using the zip method for this names, ages and married. This names, ages and married. And then I am using this zip method. So what this zip method is doing, basically zip method is taking the first element from each one of these lists and creating a list of tuples. Can you see? It is creating a list of tuples. Now I can use one tuple at a time to create a one row. I can use one tuple at a time, first tuple for creating the first row, second tuple for creating the second row. Likewise, I will use all the rows to create the tuple. This is how this method is. I am going to use this method, zip method, to create my data frame. Now let's write one thing. Let's create a, how you will create. I'm writing one variable row wise for creating a row wise data here. So what you need to do? First thing that you have to write this dictionary. And what you need to write inside this dictionary? This is a list of dictionary. So I have created first list here. I'm writing list. So I am creating this list first. And after that, I'm writing this zip method. Inside this zip, name, ages, and married, this thing. So this thing is actually, this part is will actually give me this thing. Let's understand this thing. If this thing that I have written here or list and writing this list is same, this thing will basically give me this part. Now what I need to do, I have to separate these in a row and in a key value pairs, in the form of key value pairs to get the value. So what I need to do, let's see this thing. Now let's write a dictionary in the form of list list comprehension or dictionary comprehension. I need to write it here. So let's write a dictionary here. So what inside this dictionary, I am writing name should be name. Then my age should be ages, ages, ages. And then married, 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 married should be married, married, married. Fine. For name, comma, ages, comma, married in fine. And let's write here this bracket. Let's give it a bracket. Fine. So this will create, let's see this, what it is going to create. If you will run this and let's check what is this row wise. Can you see? It has created a list of dictionaries row wise and dictionary with a key value pair like this. So this is a list of dictionary by using this dictionary comprehension, list comprehension, dictionary every concept I've used this zip method. So what zip is doing? It is zipping. That is combining all of these Python lists. And then in here, in our list comprehension, what we are doing, we are let's create a first data frame. Then I will explain you this thing. So how I'm going to create a data frame? Simply if I will write pd dot data frame and I will pass this row wise inside it, it will create a same data frame. So we are unpacking these values and assigning each of these to the temporary variables. And then we are constructing a Python dictionary on the fly to be added as an element of our list. And this is giving me my data frame. So we have seen one additional ways to build a data frames in this lecture. The Pandas constructor is so flexible that I think there is another at least 3 or 4 approaches that I have not covered here. But the key takeaways are that there is more than one way to build a data frame. And we could put it together column by column or row by row using various data structures and practices. As we will see very soon, you will most likely be reading data into Pandas as opposed to building as opposed to building or creating data from very scratch from yourself. Fine. So this was all about the creation of the data frame. Now let's move to the next concept. So the next concept that is there is called the info method. This is the next concept. Let me write the info method, method method. So what this info method does. So one of the first things to do when preparing to work with a new data frame is to look at a brief summary of what this data frame consists of or what that data frame contains. And the info methods gives us exactly this in a very nutshell. So, you know my data frame, our data frame is, let's save this inside a variable df. Let's save it. This is the data frame. I'm saving this inside my variable. This thing, fine. If you will access this df, what you will get? You will get exactly this data frame. Now see the application of this info method. So what this info method is going to give me? If you will write df dot info, fine, what you will get? And if you will simply run this, I'm getting this thing. So basically, this is giving me the information about my data frame. Let's read it from the very first line. This is basically giving me the class is pandas.core.frame.dataframe. That means it is showing me that it is a data frame. Second thing is range index. It is telling me the index range, and it is telling me this range index is having 6 entries, 0 to 5. We are having 6 entries, 0 to 5. This is telling me about the index. Third thing is it is talking about the data column, total 3 columns. So we are having total 3 columns here. So it is giving me the information. And now here you can see it is giving me the information of each one of the column. My name column, age column, and married column. So it is giving me information. None null count. It is giving how many null count is there. And here you can see it is giving me the data type of each one of the column. First column is having the object data type. Third is having the int data type, and first is having a int data type, and this is having a boolean data type. And the last thing that you can see here is it is giving me the information about the memory uses. It is telling me it is using 234 plus bytes of memory. So in a nutshell, it is giving me a lot of information about the data frame. But one thing is that, let's see one thing. Here in this case, our data frame is pretty small, very small. Data frame is very small. This data frame is very small as it contains only 3 columns. But if we add a much bigger data set with many columns, let's say 100 columns, or let's say 1000 columns, this output that you are seeing, because since it is having only 3 columns, so it is talking about only the 3 things. So if let's say instead of this three columns, if my data frame is having, let's say 100 columns, so you will see here 100 0 till 99 columns, you will get the information about this 99 columns, or let's say 500 columns, you will get the information about the 500 columns. So the output would be that we get is a bit overwhelming as it extends down below. Fine. So to deal with that, we have 2 parameters in this info method which we could specify. This info method is having 2 parameters which we could specify. So let's start with first parameter. The first parameter is called the verbose. So let's write this df.info. Here we can set we can say setting verbose, we can set the verbose parameter to false. If we set the verbose parameter to false, it will ensure that no information on a specific column is printed. So let's write first verbose here, verbose, verbose. And by default, the verbose parameter is true. So if you put it false, and then if you will run it, you will not get this information, the information regarding the column. Only you will get this thing, 3 entries, name to be married, and other things, each one of the column that you are adding, you will get no information regarding this. So it will like it is now, it is for the bigger data set, which having a larger number of columns, it is easier to read this information. Fine. So you are not getting any information, but here you are, because you have set the verbose to be false. If you will set this verbose parameter, to be, let's say, true, so again you will get the same thing. Let's convert this. Let's write true here. And by default, it is true. So now you can see you are again getting the information. Earlier also you were getting the information about the columns. So this is second thing, is that one alternative way is that this is one parameter. Now, alternatively, we could specify the maximum calls parameter to give Pandas an indication of the upper bound number of columns. So if you will write df.info here, and inside this information, inside this info, there is one parameter. If you will, there is one parameter called max columns. That is the maximum number of columns that you want. So what it is, this parameter, maximum call parameter, ask Pandas to get an indication of the upper bound number of columns. So it should switch to the truncated output. So here you are getting the every output, but if you will specify the maximum number of columns is equal to 4, it will only give you the value or information of the 4 columns only. Let's say if I am writing 4 here, so, and if I am writing this thing, so here everything is fine, because the maximum number of columns that I am having is 3, and I am specifying maximum columns is equal to 4. So it would definitely give me everything. But let's say instead of this 4, if you will specify some smaller number of columns, let's say I'm specifying this 1. Can you see? You are not getting, and if you specify it, let's say 2, still you are not getting any information. If you will specify 3, then you will get the information about the column. So what actually it means, if you instead in this max column parameter, if you specify anything below the maximum number of columns, you will not get any information regarding the columns. Let's fine. But if you put this parameter is equal to number of the columns or above number of the columns, then you will get the information regarding each one of the column. So this is one way. Second thing that so this is one thing. So if here what you understood, if you specify anything below the maximum number of columns, then the column specifics are truncated. That is, they are removed. Here the column specifics are truncated. Let me write it here. Column specifics are truncated or removed. Now let's come to the second parameter. And I think this the most important parameter in this method is that what I'm going to talk about. This is called memory uses parameter. Let's say if I write df.info and there's one parameter called memory uses, MEMO uses. So if you will put this parameter, false, F-A-L-S-E, false. See what you are getting. If you will put this parameter false, can you see? You are not getting any information about regarding the memory uses. Earlier, you were getting the information regarding the memory uses 234 plus bytes. But here you are not getting any information regarding the memory use. Now, if you make this parameter true, and by default this parameter is true, you will get the information regarding the memory uses. TRUE, true. Let's put it true and see. Can you see? I am getting now the memory uses parameter is equal to this thing. But it is fine. But where it gets interesting is with deep argument. Here we are in the memory parameter. Here we are passing either true or false. But if we pass one parameter called deep argument, so what will happen? See, here this memory uses 234 plus, or here, or whatever here, or here. If you will go to the first, the memory uses that you are getting 234 plus, we see here is an estimate based on the data type. This is a estimate memory uses. That is, Pandas estimate what this data frame will cost in terms of memory, because based on its composition, or rather the data types of the column it contains. So this is just an estimate. And if we want the exact number, we have to pass deep argument to the memory uses parameter. So let's now execute this and notice how this is going to change. How this memory uses is going to change if we pass deep parameter inside this df.info. So let me write this df.info and now put this memory uses is equal to deep. Let's put DWP, deep. And now let's execute. Can you see the difference? Here the memory uses is 555 bytes. Earlier the memory uses was 234 bytes. So this is basically exact memory. So deep here is in reference to deep introspection, or the approach of introspecting each object at runtime. But this is a little bit slower than relying on the estimate. But this thing is much more accurate. For example, in our case, if you can see the precise memory, this precise memory is more than twice, almost twice the estimate memory. So this parameter will give you the precise memory uses. So have you understand all those things, guys? Can you please comment it?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. So this is all for the day. I am not going to discuss anything more than that. Now what I will do from the next session, I will take one brand new data set from Kaggle, and then we will start learning various concepts inside these data frames on that data set only. So let me push the code to GitHub. Today is the third session. So third session of, let me write third session of Pandas data frame get completed. Let's commit the code and sync changes. So fine. Fine. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. If you guys are having any doubts regarding the session, you can definitely put it in the comment section. And if you want to join my live session free of cost, you can join the or you can subscribe my Telegram channel. And I have joined. I have attached the link of those the channels in the description section. You can go there and join the channel. So let's meet tomorrow again. Thanks for watching.